Beware the Trapped Sacral Energy is the title for today's CIRF report, and this one for the week of February 24th, and we're getting into March 2nd, 2022, and let's go surfing now. We have a new moon in Pisces to look forward to. We have some really cool conjunctions. So let's get right to it. Here's the summary slide, and I've got to get my pointer out. How is everybody doing? Thanks for all the comments, by the way, for last week. We're back up on Rumble. The viewers back to the upper side. So thank you for all the Rumble folks. Big shout out to all of you. And for YouTube, we continue to grow. Welcome to the new folks here. And what we do is we triangulate twice. We triangulate for the biggest influence, and we use astrology, the I-Ching, and the collective unconscious through the use of the dream bot. And then we figure out what the biggest energy is. And then towards the end, we'll look at triangulating for the solution, and we'll use different technologies for that. But so far, we have Venus and Mars. As if you've been here for a while, you were expecting them to go hand in hand, and then crossing into Pluto. So you're going to have those three together. And Mars and Pluto are on the same plane elevation-wise. So this is a very powerful alignment. And those are going to go exact right about the time of the new moon. And it's like a crescendo. So the new moon in Pisces is at the end of our week on 3/2 on March 2nd. But these energies, these conjunctions are already in play and getting stronger as we go to that new moon. So, and the other thing that's going to happen is Mercury and Saturn are going to get closer and closer together up to the new moon. And then there was one other that I didn't have listed here, but then as you can see, so there's a lot of possibilities in terms of what the biggest energy is in the astrology, because you've got a new moon in Pisces, which is, hey, it's again the last sign of the zodiac. So this could be the last cycle of the ending of this particular zodiacal phasing. And so this is the beginning of the end, because the beginning is the new moon represents that, roughly 30 days of that particular energy. This energy is Pisces. Pisces can be really, spiritual and transcendent, connected, interconnected, but also pessimistic. It kind of gloomy, can look like the end kind of a thing. In reality, at the end of Pisces is spring equinox. So Aries starts over again. And here we go, the first sign of the zodiac again. But beyond those metaphors, there's a real energy with this. And when your Venus Mars, and we're going to talk more extensively about what this means, but Venus and Mars together, the yin and the yang, the male and the female, the biggest archetypes of both sides, all meshed together, going through the powerful subconscious planet of Pluto, feels like another death and rebirth. So you already have a double whammy. You've got the Pisces sort of ending feeling, and you've got the Pluto death feeling. And then you've got Mercury with Saturn. This sort of represents hardship, and especially with your thoughts, especially with travel hardship. Everything Mercury. Logic is hard. Thinking is hard. Communicating is hard. Not that Saturn is only hardship. There's some benefits there too. Eventually, when you come out on the other side of this, you hone your skills. You get sharper. But nonetheless, the feeling. Remember, this is the feeling side of our triangulation. And the feeling is, according to the I-Ching, sort of oppressive, sort of feels gloomy and doomy. And guess what? When you feel oppressed and controlled, the dream bot indicates what people are imagining, what were they dreaming about, which is love and dating. That makes sense from a Venus Mars, doesn't it? But also driving. There's a sense of, get me out of here, set me free. Let's start moving. So we're going to look at all that, but so we have the dream bot is the green circle. That's representative of the Mars and Venus. and then the Mercury and Saturn. And then the I-Ching is represented by everything else I mentioned, the new moon in Pisces in particular. And so that's the biggest energy. That's why the I-Ching has a bigger circle, but they are overlapped with that Venus-Mars. And what's Venus-Mars? Well, it could be manifested as love, sexual energy, but in the bigger picture, it's a sacral. This is the representative of the sacral energy when Venus and Mars metaphorically are combined. And with the I-Ching and with the astrology, there's this oppressive feel. So we're trapped and pent up with sacral energy as evidenced by the people dreaming about driving, about moving. And so there's this pent up feeling. All right, with all that, I hope that makes sense. But basically, we're working with the sacral energy this week and the pent upness. Okay. All right. Let's get moving. Let's get started. And if you have not subscribed yet, do that both on YouTube and Rumble. And we're also on Telegram. If you want that link, it's down in the show description below. Also, this episode is brought to you by Interzension, our partner Interzension, but specifically their LifeWave products. LifeWave is the new phototherapy, reverse aging technology in the form of patches that you put on your skin, and it invigorates the peptides that invigorate certain actions, particularly stem cell action that tends to wane after you get over the age of 40 to 50 years old, especially when you get in your 60s and the older years. Stem cell activity is almost zero. So this product actually works invigorating stem cells of all kinds. You see all these different kinds of patches, and it targets specific things. The X39 is the flagship, but I am offering a new special just this time. If you want to try out, I'm willing to give you 7 nights worth of Silent Night patches. Silent Nights is obviously for better sleep, and I will send that to you free of charge. You just have to send me an email at nationaldreamcenter@gmail.com. All right, and I will send that out to you free. Now, if you're interested in exploring these patches or even getting started, you can start with a $25 input, and that does help the show here. That $25 doesn't go straight to us, but it does go with our affiliate LifeWave, but a portion of that goes to our partner Interzension. So you can start with $25, get the wholesale pricing. Anyway, if you got any questions, or you can email me, nationaldreamcenter@gmail.com, and I'll spend some time with you talking about that. Otherwise, go to www.lifewave.com/Interzension. The link is down below in the comment description. And let's get started with the comments. All right. Shout out to Sarah. Now, this one is a very astute, advanced view, in my opinion. In the second paragraph says, it used to seem like I just needed to decide to be happy. I think that causes rejection or ignoring of important emotions, messages through, though, when done too quickly. Slowing down in an unexpected way can cause progress to speed up because you're not missing important keys to progress. I think that was excellent advice, Sarah, and almost won today's weekly award. So thank you for putting that in there. Micah says to add, feeling more sensitive to electromagnetic pollution over the past week, and I have too. I'm sure a lot of you have felt that too. My recommendation is this. I know it's $168, but it's sure worth it. I have this product in my house, and we use this pretty much all the time. Not every day, but it's sure nice to have. And we even took this in various places around the city to see how much electromagnetic energy is experiencing in that location. So I take that to work every once in a while to make sure that I'm not getting polluted by EMF. And I highly recommend. I'm not making any money on this. This is just a screenshot of Amazon.com, but I highly recommend it because I have it and it seems to work really great. And then Comade, shout out for your comment, and talks about February 22nd denotes the anniversary of a rare planetary alignment that last occurred 246 years ago with the birth of the United States. I actually went into my software that I use and I did a Pluto return on July 4th, and that actually says, according to my software, that February 20th was the day for July 4th. But here's the thing I want all of you to realize is that the Constitution wasn't the supreme law of the land until it took effect in 1789. So most of us think about 1776, and I'm sure like all those Pluto returns were based on 1776. But, my point here is that you may not see the real effects of this energy for another 13 years. Now, of course, we've got communication is much better than obviously back in 1776. Word travels much faster and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that speeds up the timeline. But my point is, it's not a one time on the 22nd of February, boom, everything changes. It has the tendency of shocking, and then that energy rolls out and ripples through the rest of however long it takes to make that transformation. And in this case, in our origin in the United States, 1789, that's 13 years after this 1776 that everybody talks about. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just wanted to clarify all that. And then over a shout out to Brave Steed on Rumble. Thank you for your comment. Not for me to say. Mike Enigma, awesome comments. And Luis Tosi, unattached and unafraid. A lot of you talking about fearless, Brave Steed. I love this. And growing by leaps and bounds over on Rumble. So welcome to all of you. The winner for today's comment is Robbie says, wow, I call it the end of the beginning. This is going to be a wild roller coaster ride. Thanks for the report with 5 ups and several replies. Awesome, everybody. Thank you for making this an alive channel. Here's our collective unconscious, our Dreambot report. Number 1 word, not a big surge score, 47 points, but garage. That's interesting. And there's, garage and village and house and cave. I don't know, sort of like living spaces kind of a thing. But more importantly is these red arrows. Mars and Venus are in girlfriend, bedtime, baby, fall, date, spell, all love, all these interpersonal sort of love energies or love metaphors or words. So the meme there is clear. It's Mars and Venus together, and not even doesn't have to be Pluto, but Pluto could probably be put in there. Not the end part of Pluto, but the power part, the subconscious power. And then the yellow, it's hard to see, but driving is the yellow arrows. It's like engine and path and speed and return. Oh, and then the linguistics. I thought this was really interesting. We have two forms of the word turn. So turned and turning right together. That's really unusual to have those almost just different versions of the same word right smashed together. So that obviously goes with the driving, but are we headed for a turn? And I think the answer is obviously there's this, whatever's happening now, not sustainable. We are headed for a big turn, right? That's my opinion. And I think the collective unconscious agrees. So here's the remaining days of February, seeing not a lot of happening in terms of transitioning zodiacal signs, but we have some sextiles happening that we'll talk about. I wanted to show this black horizontal line. That's the elevation. That's called parallel. And so that means that Mars and Pluto are not only conjuncting in the azimuth, but also the elevation. And so, as you know, the outer power Mars yang meets the inner power Pluto, and they're in the exact same spot out in the sky, in the sidereal sky. So obviously can't see Pluto, but wherever you see Mars in this next the first couple nights of this week, Pluto is directly behind it. So pretty cool there. And then we get into March. There's a lot to talk about in March, but it's like this this sort of getting out of the cage sort of a feel to it overall. And with that, it's like, wow, I didn't see what it was like out here, and so I've got to adjust. It's like this assimilation of new energy that's coming out. So, for example, the one that we've been talking about all year last year was Saturn square Uranus, and you can see that ages out. And let me darken it up so you can really see where I'm pointing. But the end of that one is going to be the second week in March. And it'll be bye-bye. No more conflict between the freedom fighters and the establishment. Not that riots will just suddenly stop. That energy is going to play out. There's always going to be conflict of sorts. But I guess the main transformation that had to happen throughout that process is largely done. Now it's just the extremists or the ones who are just bullheaded and can't assimilate the information or just refuse to, or whatever else. And you're always going to have those people, but the bulk of the work is already done. Then we have Mars is going to be going into Aquarius. You have obviously Venus going into Aquarius as well in the second week, about the 6th of March. And Mercury will actually transition all the way through Pisces into Aries by the end of March. The sun, obviously, this is spring equinox right here. Should be doesn't give me the exact number, but 20th or 21st of March is transitioning into Aries. Aries 0 degrees, and that is Easter. I'm sorry, not Easter, spring equinox. So after the spring equinox, the next full moon, and then the first Sunday after that full moon, that's when Easter is. It's a purely astrological date. All right, let's get into our day by day. Thursday, the 24th. And there's a lot going on, and mostly in these conjunctions. So we have Mars and Venus together at 22 degrees Capricorn, and Pluto is at 27, so 5 degrees away there. You have Mercury is transitioning very fast towards Saturn. They're 8 degrees there, so that's technically a conjunction. And then we have Sun is progressing towards lucky Jupiter in Pisces. So we have those. And obviously the big conjunction that's going to happen at the end of this week is Moon is going to transgress all the way through these signs into a new moon with the Sun by the end of the CIRF week on the 2nd. Now, for the alignments, we have a lot of sextiles. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 sextiles. You've got 4 squares. So the opportunities are equally met with the conflict, the hardening or the coagulation of the energies still conflicted. That's just the overview. But for this sextile, this is the Mars and Venus, representative of our sacral. So the sacral has an opportunity with Neptune. And why I'm using sacral, I didn't mention this before, but I should have, is that in the world of chakras, this is the primal energy. And the most typical energy that we talk about, or example of sacral energy, is obviously sexual energy, the strongest energy of the human species. But there's other energies that are involved in this sacral too. And when we're talking about a death rebirth or an inner power of the level of Pluto, we're talking about the very, very primordial, very deepest layer of the sacral chakra that manifests outward as even love and war, which is what these metaphors are. Sexual energies in there, power struggles are in there, and the overall ability to extract energy and channel that energy into something productive ultimately comes from both the root up through the chakra or the sacral. Okay, and so the opportunity here with the sacral is dreams. So strong opportunity to manifest your passionate dreams, and even spiritual dreams, and maybe this is the kind of level. This alignment is the level of I don't know if this is a valid metaphor, but like a burning bush kind of a thing. These are vivid, maybe memories of recall of past experiences, maybe past karmic experiences. And we can bring that and channel that out into an expression of self that is very profound and world changing, even if it's just your world. But that's the kind of level of energy that we're moving through and moving with and learning how to handle this week. It's an opportunity. It's a sextile, but it starts with a dream. It starts with a fantasy. It starts with your imagination. And only then will you be able to manifest this powerful energy. Synchronistic opportunity for freedom and insight is Uranus sextile Jupiter, because Jupiter's lucky and synchronistic and wise. And Uranus is freedom-loving, independent, rebellious, insightful in terms of technologies and electricity. So you got an opportunity there too. And by the way, then, as we look at these conjunctions that are happening, they're all about the same rates. So you have the sun is 6 degrees away from Jupiter. You have now Mercury and Saturn 6 degrees, and the sacral with Pluto is about 4 degrees. Now, I want to point out, this is a good time to point out that Saturn square Uranus that we talked about all last year, it's 7 degrees and waning. It is almost completely out. Just great news. Then we get into Saturday. We have the earth signs are dominating because the moon, emotional moon, is well into Capricorn and produces a stellium. There's a stellium in Capricorn, meaning 3 or more planets. We have a stellium in Pisces. But if you look at the overall context or the overall number of planets, you have 5 of them that are in earth signs. And so this is a much more practical day with practical opportunities. Now, not all opportunities are positive. You have powerful people who are trying to use this powerful energy, especially the sacral energy, for nefarious or self-gain in motives. And so we need to be aware of that it's not just good that comes out of these opportunities. We have nefarious opportunities that people are going to try to step into and enact. Obviously, Russia being one of those. Just roll my eyes. Another war. Of course they need another war, right? Of course, the economy is about done, and we need to revive it again. But it doesn't have to be that way, and we do have an effect when we use this. When our opportunity is that we can use this backward approach. So we've got sacral together. This is an emotional Venus and Mars together, with an opportunity over into Neptune. So from that space, from that interpersonal space, transpersonal space. This is the superconscious. This is where we are all connected because Neptune is in Pisces, and we can tap into that in our imagination. We can imagine peace. And I invite you, I beg you to imagine peace as your opportunity. And this is very powerful when you use this sacral energy for your opportunity of imagining peace and putting a lot of energy into that, a lot of emotion into that. It makes it real. Emotion plus mind is the creative impetus. But because we have the sacral behind it, it becomes much more powerful. We have 3 degrees until these pass Pluto. We have 5 degrees for Mercury and Saturn, and 5 degrees for Sun and Jupiter. Now we get into Sunday. Still have a stellium in Capricorn. Still have Earth signs dominate, but it's at the very last stage of the moon. We still have a stellium after the moon goes into Aquarius, but then Aquarius gets the stellium. We'll have 3 stelliums by Monday. But for now, we have high emotion around transformation of power, limited only by your imagination. That's the Neptune. And it's super emotionally charged from Saturday to Sunday. This whole transformation of power and sacral energy and sex and love and male, female, combining the primordial energies, the basics, the absolute basics of human existence is the sacral energy is being transformed right now. Meanwhile, spiritually based ego, that's the sun in Pisces, feels rebellious and free. And there's the opportunity. But the powers that be don't like that one at all. We have that opportunity to really, really break absolutely free and independent, just to seize that as your ego. And that's interesting because it's a sun in Pisces, so it's an interconnected. It's recognizing the oneness involved, and yet I have an opportunity to take myself into freedom and to see myself as a free person. Monday, the 28th, the moon in Aquarius makes 3 stelliums together, but they're very close now, 2 degrees. 2 degrees away, less than 2 degrees. And we have these 3. Now, Mercury and Saturn coming together are feeling a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging to think, a little bit more challenging to drive, a little bit more challenging to travel, a little bit more challenging to speak. But these challenges aren't haphazard. It's not random. It is very purposeful. Saturn is purposeful. Saturn is chiseling away and making your thoughts sharper, but you won't recognize this until you're on the other side of it. Thoughts will be sharper. Logic will be more sound. Your communication ability will be better, etc. But you have to move into those hardships, whatever those form for you, so that you can capture the best of what Saturn has. And so let's get into Tuesday. There's our 3 stelliums again, and we're only a degree away. So you can see this collapsing as the moon is about to start their new moon, her new moon in Pisces. You can see Mercury will be very close to Saturn, and Mars, Venus will be very close to Pluto. So let's just go ahead and do that. New moon in Pisces. So here we are at exactly 11:34 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have a moon at 12 degrees, 7 minutes of Pisces. And at that same speck of time, you have Saturn and Mercury are 3 minutes away. So there's almost a perfect conjunction. That's incredible. If that wasn't incredible enough, look, we have Pluto, Mars, and Venus all at 27 degrees. And so within, the the far stretches. So Pluto and Venus is the farthest at 49 minutes. That's very, very close. This is a very special new moon with all these different conjunctions aligning. Very, very powerful, sacral, transformative, almost scary, powerful sacral energy right there. That's mega power right now. And especially the Mars, the Yang, masculine Mars with the subconscious, deep inner subconscious power of Pluto, and in the same elevation, same azimuth. Ooh, extreme power right here. Now, it's just power. And so it just depends on how people are using this, but people can be using this for selfish gain, that's service to self. And we know what those are. They want more control. They want more control over everything, including you. Okay. And they get access to this same power, but you can use it for good. You can use it for anything you want, your highest values. You just have to learn how to channel that energy and put your vote into the basket of how the collective outcomes will be. We have enough of us using this, we can overcome anything that they want to use this energy for. So make sure you channel it into something that you want. This is very weak, this square that we talked about earlier. And with Mercury just past, 3 minutes, that's almost, it's like right there together. And this is at the height of, so at the time of the new moon in this 30-day cycle, this energetic stamp still remains throughout that period. So in the next 30 days or so, the powerful sacral will be there. Very powerful sacral will be there. And also this very difficult way of communicating, traveling, thinking will be there with Mercury. And so toiling with that the whole period is good in this case for Mercury, because Saturn is going to make this much sharper on the other side of that. Okay, and then finally we've got the new moon is just 2 degrees away from lucky Jupiter. So we're be looking for very synchronistic events, very optimistic, very wise, very good judgments. This is Jupiter too, very good judgments of Uranus towards freedom, towards independence, towards just change from the vector we had before. And so this is a very energetically defined period of time. This new moon in Pisces, this whole period is going to be very energetically defined with very specific energies. New moon with pure freedom opportunities and conjunct the lucky Jupiter. So should be very positive. But remember, Pisces can feel a little bit pessimistic. It can look like doom and gloom. It can. But remember, you've got lucky Jupiter right there, holding your hand the whole way and giving you advice and lifting up your, cheerleading you, lifting up your chin, saying you can do this. All right. Use the power that's there instead of being succumbed to it. You have access to the power as well as them. All right. All right, here we go into the I-Ching. And the I-Ching did not have any change lines. That was pretty cool. So that means our influence, oppression, is also the solution. So I made 2 colors. This is supposed to be green down here, but it ended up being blue. But I'm going to read the red. This is the feeling. This is the influence part of our discussion. And I'll go back and read the blues. So as far as influence goes, one image of oppression is a dried up lake bed with scavenger crows stalking the shoreline. Hard times can shrivel our spirits and give rise to a multitude of crows in the form of troublesome worries. This sounds like everything we talked about, new moon in Pisces. It also sounds in the troublesome worries. That could be Mercury and Saturn conjunction. Um, so all that's a perfect overlap of what we see in the stars. In one sense, there is no such thing as failure. There's only sweet and sour reality. Often more is learned from the sour than from the sweet. That's what Sarah was talking about in her excellent comment. As for our failures, as hard as they may be to accept, they can open our eyes, reawakening our clarity of vision, only known by those who have risked and tasted disappointment. The oppression is simply confining you in an unhealthy way. You may want an answer of something spoken, but the truth and growth you might have achieved was revealed in the silence. Perhaps you don't want to face it. Unwilling to adapt to the challenges presented, the opportunity for growth can be missed. All right, let's go now transition to the solution. These are more of the behaviors associated with the hexagram 47 in the I-Ching. So now we're talking about solution. To endure hard times or even benefit from them, you are called upon to tap the deepest stratum of your identity, which is stronger than fate, incorruptible by even the harshest realities. During hard times, it is especially essential to tap that wellspring of human endurance, hope. And luckily, no pun intended, you have the hope of Jupiter right alongside your ego. All right. So it should come naturally this week. When you are in the throes of difficult circumstances, it is important to be strong on the inside while remaining quietly cheerful on the outside. Avoid too much talking, except to your closest friends. Your words will have little effect on most others, since your influence will be at a low ebb, and aimless talking costs you vital energy. A strong silence is the most skillful posture when facing the public during adversity. It shows that your inner core is strong enough to withstand your current troubles, and it suggests that your recovery will be complete. At the same time, communicating openly with those you trust is also essential, for in times of calamity, talking and feeling are part of the healing. By avoiding risk altogether, one will always fall short of what might have been. Perhaps stepping back or changing course is the only way forward. If you feel isolated, talk to someone who can be objective in helping you find your way. So this sort of speaks to getting advice, it's amazing how all these things overlap, but that is part of the solution. So here's the rest of the solution. As you know, we go into the conversion chart, and I take the new moon at 12 degrees, 7 minutes of Pisces, and they are both sitting right in the rave of hexagram 63 and the Aquarius solution. We've been doing the Aquarius solution for a couple weeks now. So what's interesting, remember we had before completion last week in the I-Ching. This week in the rave, it's after completion. What does that mean? In the spiral of life, all ends are just beginnings. Line 1 is where the new moon is, and it's called composure. There's your direct overlap with the I-Ching. The quality of personality where achievement is accepted with equanimity and where continued development is allowed to take its natural course. Acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place. So there's this element of definite achievement, but not knowing if it's going to stick. This is what our founding fathers went through as well. Seeing all through these dates, we had lots of periods where they're trying to sign and ratify the Constitution. We didn't have anybody showing up. There wasn't a quorum, so they weren't able to take a vote. It wasn't until 13 years later they finally did that. So it takes persistence. But the point here is that you need to realize that even in victories, you're going to have this uneasy feeling of, is this sustainable? Can we keep this going? And that's okay. That's normal just to have that feeling. Here's the downside to achievement, all right? The tendency in achievement to immediately seek new goals at the risk of destabilizing what has already been accomplished. The pressure in achievement to still doubt one's capabilities and to immediately seek new goals. So don't give up, but also once you achieve a goal, or once we achieve a goal, don't be so fast to relieve the pressure of not knowing if it's going to be sustainable, and just start picking up new goals. And now that just spreads us all out doing our own thing. And then we sink back into being overpowered. All right. So let's keep things simple. But anyway, I'm going to put that into our conversion chart, or our final slide. I don't know why I just did that. All right, let's get this, and then we'll zoom in so you can see everything. This is a picture of the fiery chakra of Sacral. And we know that it's pent up and trapped, especially from the residual of the past oppression, the past couple of years. We have the astrology to support us, and we have the I-Ching to support us. Times turn hard. Image of the lake bed drying up and crows gather. Difficult circumstances that help to clarify strength in your vision and help you see the silver lining in dark clouds. So, what do we do about all this? Here's our triangulation of the solutions. And just to review, we have hexagram 47 that didn't change. And that was sort of, step back if you need to, receive counsel. Don't worry about avoiding failure. Don't act in order to avoid failure. Act in accordance with channeling that sacral energy towards something of value for you. And then the rave said, do not move too quickly on from any success or any meaningful goals. Keep your composure when achieving. That's the keeping composure was a direct overlap from both of these. And then Sidereal Aquarius gives us, you guys had it a lot. A lot of you talked about the Aquarian energy, or the Aquarian solution, and staying unattached. And we're just going to keep on doing that. Stay unattached to outcomes. But the Aquarians can do that with a very engaged posture, a very engaged behaviors. And so we can engage deeply. We can think deeply. We can be a part of the conversation, but we can do so from an unattached standpoint. And I think that would be very beneficial this week, because a lot of people are going to feel confined. If they're not aware of this confined sacral energy, they're going to be acting impulsively. So a lot of escapism this week. Look for it. A lot of people will be escaping, basically wasting away their trapped sacral energy. Don't do that. The solution triangulation includes recommendations commensurate with difficult or hard times. Be willing to take some risks. Be strong and quietly cheerful. Seek to achieve goals, but don't destabilize the situation with immediately seeking new goals once you've achieved those other goals. Good time to receive counsel or advice. The sidereal solution, that's Aquarius, brings in humanitarian intentions, but with independent and unique worldviews. This is great to create strategies that are out of the norm. Aquarians' pride and out-of-the-box creativity, contrary opinion, remarkable observations, and a wise knowledge base. Once again, avoid being too detached, but continue engaging from an observational viewpoint. This will be a period of a lot of growth for most of us. Challenge yourself to reduce escapism or surrender behaviors, because good engagement in this period offers the most amount of success. If you so choose, you can use the mantra that I have here, which is, I act with confidence to succeed despite oppressive conditions. All right, everybody, we've reached the end. Make sure that you have subscribed. Punch in a like for me, whether or not we're on Rumble or YouTube. I really appreciate everybody's comments. And don't forget this 1 week special. If it's too many people, I'll let you know. It'll be the first 10 people that write to me at nationaldreamcenter@gmail.com if you want the trial packet of Silent Night patches. And I'll be willing to do that for you. this time only. All right. And I hope everyone has a powerful week. And remember, as bad as it might seem, you do have a lot of extra power this week. Don't get overpowered, okay? Because you have access to that same power. All right, I think that's it. God bless all of you. Love and light. And looking forward to what this next week brings us. Cheers.